The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes, good morning, you guys. Good morning. It is Thursday, July 17th, and today is National Dole Whip Day today, you guys. Who loves Dole Whip? Dole Whip? Dole Whip.
Dole Whip?
Yeah, Dole Whip, Dale. You don't know what Dole Whip is?
Oh. It's a frozen treat brought to you by Dole.
Yeah.
Oh, Dole Whip. I get it.
Yeah. Get it at Disneyland and the like. Yeah, good stuff.
Whip that's not sharp or something like that, right?
It's like it's like a little ice cream type of thing.
It's a ice freaking whipped cream, you retards.
Yeah, it's pineapple and Miracle Whip.
Yeah.
Delicious.
What a healthy treat, huh?
It's
hydrogenated oil.
Pretty much, Dale. That's pretty much what it is. That part.
Hey, it only really works in a frozen treat too. So the moment it gets warm, it does the oil and vinegar thing, and it just totally stratifies.
It dissipates.
Well, damn.
That's also National Lottery Day today, you guys.
Oh, great. You playing, Jason?
I play with the lottery of life, Jenny Beth.
No, boy.
Every day is a lottery.
Every day's a lottery for me. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Fuck,
yes,
buddy.
And I stay winning, Jenny Beth.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's also National.
You fucking tell it.
It's also National Tattoo Day.
I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
Shout out to me and Anna Lewis's best friend tattoo we got on Women's Day.
Oh my god. Oh my god,
It's
so cute. Oh my god. It's just so cute. Oh my god.
At the Catalyst Women's event.
Oh my god, at the Catalyst Women's event. So cute.
Yeah, you weren't invited.
Cute. I know, that's right, because I can pee standing up. It's also World Emoji Day today, you guys.
I can too if I try hard enough. Don't fucking play with me.
No,
Jason
you can't.
Beth.
No, you can't, Jenny Beth. That shit will stream down your leg.
Don't play with me, Jason Beth.
That shit will stream down your leg, Jenny Beth. Stop it.
Right?
Don't you fucking play with me, Jason Beth.
I'm not. I'm being 100% real.
She's doing her kegels regularly.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ, Dale.
Snap that thing off, right?
Exactly. It's also World Emoji Day today, you guys. You guys can hit the transition. You guys can bring them in over here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
I'm doing the fucking poop emoji because why, Dale? Why did you start this morning?
He's such a shitter.
Because someone brought up Epstein and we were off and running. It was just.
I'm sure it was Jason.
It was not. I did not bring it up. And I'm not going to say who brought it up, but it was someone whose head is above me right now on the screen.
Well, I'm assuming it was Stone, but keep it pushing, pimpin'.
Come on, pimpin'.
Stone, you just got profiled.
Hey, well, she was right. I did bring it up.
Okay, all right. It's also National Yellow Pig Day today, you guys.
Oh.
Yellow pig?
Yellow pig. Yeah, I'm confused by that one. I'm a little, what the hell do they mean by this yellow pig?
That sounds racist. You need to start screening these days.
They might get Dole Whip from Yellow Pigs.
Let's see.
I'm leaving the show.
No.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's National
Thursday,
Yellow Pig.
guys.
Actually, this makes sense. This makes sense. National Yellow Pig Day honors the unique attributes of the number 17 and its significance to mathematics. We plan on explaining what a yellow pig and the number 17 have in common too. The yellow pig has a very little to do with the number 17, and in fact, the only reason today is called National Yellow Pig Day is because the two students who wanted to create a day for the number 17 needed a mascot, and they entered in the yellow pig.
Now it's definitely all right. Keep it going before I say something terrible. Keep it going.
Go ahead. Say something terrible.
Yeah, say something terrible, Jenny Beth. Yeah.
No. As soon as the mathematics were brought in, I knew it was racist, and I don't like it, and I do not like this day.
There's nothing racist in here. You know, the average school
Why
bus.
does it have to be a yellow pig?
Well, hold on. The average school bus weighs 17 tons with passengers inside. Now that's a yellow bus. The number 17 is a premium number in the arena of prime numbers, and the first four prime numbers together, and 17 is their sum. And when you add them together, each of the following words has 17 letters. Interdiscrepancy, telecommunication, misrepresentation, commercialization, and electrophotometer. I mean, that's kind of...
You're an electrophotometer.
The atomic number of chlorine is 17. Oh, here's Jenny Beth. You'll love this one. Pebble Beach has a specific road known as the 17-mile drive along the Monterey Peninsula in California. However, the exact length of the road is 16.78 miles. So it comes up a little short. And
Yep, I've driven it for a fuel run, and they were really pissed off at all the cars that did rallies up there. And so, like, a lot of people took their, so they brand all the cars and they put, kind of wraps on them that say fuel run, so you know which car club we're with. And so people were getting pulled over for entering Pebble Beach and driving down 17-mile drive with our branding on. And we said, fuck them. We represent Fuel Run. Shout out to Fuel Run.
The 17th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution gave the citizens of the United States the right to elect their senators by popular vote. Before the states ratified the amendment on April 8th, 1913, each state's legislature would elect the senators to Congress, you guys.
You guys, Jason's learning a lot today.
So you should see how many times you find the number 17 in newspapers on July 17th. Well, of course, it's at the top of the newspaper, you guys. That's kind of stupid. You should do 17 jumping jacks, Jenny Beth. And you should order a round of drinks for 17 people. You should eat 17 spoonfuls of peach ice cream, buy 17 lottery tickets, and get 17 tattoos of a number 17. And the 17-year cicada cycle. This happens every 17 years, 2024 being the most recent.
Okay, well, let's go.
17.
Because we're 4 minutes before 9:17.
It's also National Wrong Way Corrigan Day today, Dale. You remember
How many
that,
more
right?
fucking days we got?
That was Dale remembers that back then.
Oh, boy.
And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's obviously a little entangled today. And sounds like she's a little, a little tied up. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Scrambling for adjectives, Jenny Beth.
Definitely not.
Right. He promised me a new intro, and that was... But all right. Anyhow.
You look tied up to me.
Do you know what my fucking favorite part of this morning is so far? This is the first time that Nate has been visibly fucking annoyed like the rest of us on this show and has realized... what we all are bitching about. Jason, that was a 17 fucking minute intro.
I don't really give a fuck, Jenny Beth.
Oh, he's getting mad at me. Don't give. I was just trying to use the.
I don't really give a fuck, Jenny Beth. How about that?
I'm using the number 17 like you asked me to. Shall I keep stalling until we hit 9:17? Anyway, so New York, the gift that keeps on giving. You all right, Jason? You know I love you. I don't really give a fuck, Jenny Beth. All right, got it. Heads up, New York cannabis consumers, the Office of Cannabis Management has issued a statewide recall for 3 flower products from East End Flower Farm. The strains include Harvest Secret No. 9, Harvest Lemon Haze, and Harvest Pure Michigan. Why? Well, follow-up testing found some pesticide levels that were higher than the state allows. No one's gotten sick, but to be safe, the OCM is pulling these products off shelves. So if you picked up any of them recently, even if you jar, bring it back to where you bought it from. Bring it on back. Retailers have been told to stop sales immediately, and you can check the OCM website for all the batch numbers and return info. Again, that's Harvest Secret No. 9, Harvest Lemon Haze, and Pure Michigan, all from East End Flower Farm, being recalled in New York. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say. We've done a lot of recall announcements. I feel like this is a pretty cut and dry story. If you want to read the story, it'll be posted on our website, highat9news.com. You guys just grow better weed. Stop fucking spraying weird shit on it. Eagle 20 gives you nut cancer. I don't know where to go with this. Nate?
I can add a little bit to that. Yeah, myclobutanol, the key ingredient, the active ingredient in Eagle 20 is what everybody doesn't like. That's the one that turns into cyanide. A lot of other ones will give you nut cancer, though, so don't be too comfortable just yet. What we're looking at, I think, in terms of this stuff, and I looked at a couple of these articles. I was looking for the pesticides in particular because I do agree with you. Grow better weed, do a better job, have a better IPM, approach. All of these things are key importance here, and there's really no excuse at the end of the day. We've been playing this game for over a decade of, do I have pesticides in my weed? And most of the time, in my experience, this stuff can be detected pretty early. So it becomes a question of, oftentimes, once I, sort of clear out that momentary thought, what is it? And I hadn't found in any of the reports exactly what pesticides there are, but that actually tells me a lot, depending on what pesticides there are. There was a major manufacturer, a major worldwide manufacturer, and unfortunately, I just started researching them. And 3 days later, my laboratory got shut down. Coincidence? Probably. But the important note is that these guys are a worldwide manufacturer of pesticides and other plant grow products. These guys are also one of the major manufacturers of one of the 3 unwise men of pesticides, the chlorphenapure, the chlorpyrifos, and the chlordanes of the world, where it just seems like one in fucking 3 buildings in the United States must have those for how often they show up. Well, what somebody had brought to my attention was that they used a product which was a grow. They're kitty attacking again. There was a grow product, and this grow product right here had no pesticides whatsoever inside of it. However, he had sent a sample of this product into my lab, and bam, it hit for chlorphenapure. What the hell happened? He didn't understand why his crop nor this product was hitting for chlorphenapure, and he did a bit more research, and he found out that from the same factory that this came from, what pesticide was also in that factory. This is kind of a scenario that you get where, like, somebody with, say, a nut allergy needs to steer clear of not only nuts, but facilities that process nuts. We have these issues in cannabis where there is essentially, at least here in California, and I know a few other places, with regards to a few of these chemicals, there's a zero tolerance policy on a lot of these chemicals. And chlorpyrifos is one of those chemicals. And if just the slightest bit manages to migrate into another one of the products that somebody has produced, all of a sudden, some of these random where did they come from's start to get answered. We always just assume that a lot of old school pesticides and exterminators and the like, and just, poor actors who had tried their hand at growing before had attempted to use these. But there's actually evidence that cross-contamination could be coming from other sources and things that people, like, in their right mind, and if you're reading labels, would never be intuitive to. But yet again, there they are. So There
Nate,
are questions too with how people treat our industry, and do they understand what we require in terms of cleanliness? Go on, Jay.
you know what, Nate? These peanut people are a big problem, because all these people that can't have peanuts, you know what I mean? They got peanuts taken off of airplanes. We used to be able to have amazing honey roasted peanuts on airplanes, and then all of a sudden, because of a few people have an allergic little reaction on the plane, when people open up their bag of peanuts, now all of a sudden none of the rest of the general population can have peanuts. It's total bullshit. And
Jason, are you mad about?
I'm extremely pissed off about this. I remember when I'm so triggered by this. I was so pissed as a kid the first time, because I used to love the honey roasted peanuts on the airplane. They used to be my favorite thing about flying. And then all of a sudden, one time, I'm like, "Hey, can I have the honey roasted peanuts?" "Oh, sorry, we can't serve those anymore." I'm like, "Why don't you serve those anymore?" She's like, "Yeah, someone had an allergic reaction," and and they started going in and explaining the whole thing. And I was like, "Well, that's the most dumbest thing ever. Those people should just get their own plane. There should be like a no peanuts plane, a no peanuts flight."
But that's just me.
I mean, yeah, I'm not mad at the Biscoff. Like, thank you.
And now they give you like these whack ass pretzels and different stuff. It's so lame.
You're not happy with the pretzels, Jason?
No, I'm not. I think it's the most lamest snack there is.
Imagine you guys, Jason's upset.
It was always a big pain in the ass, though, too, when the kids were in school. And it was like all of a sudden now you couldn't send peanut snacks anymore. It's like,
yeah, stupid, right?
What's amazing to me, we've had to report on so many fucking recalls that literally we'd rather just talk about peanuts and Jason not getting them on the airplane. And why do you guys in the background, you got fuck?
What?
Oh, Stone, your cat.
I had a client here. I had a client in Sacramento whose weed kept testing positive for chlordane.
Mm-hmm.
And she used chlordane. And I mean, this woman basically went bankrupt because she couldn't produce a crop, didn't have chlordane in it, and she couldn't figure out how. So she snuck across the street where they were building low-income housing and took a soil sample, and the shit was just heavy with chlordane because they had saturated the soil back in the 40s and 50s to stop termites getting into the foundation. And they were digging the shit up, and it was in the air. And by the time we got in the middle of it, she was done. I mean, it cost her license, and the fight to go figure out, prove where it came from was going to be
Chlordane's been banned for 40 years. 40.
Yeah,
it's
40.
And it still comes up.
It's got a half-life like, plutonium. It's around for a long time.
From your friendly license building and operations fucking consultant over here. You guys, hi. Do soil testing when you decide to put your cultivation up somewhere. Also, make sure that your greenhouses are watertight, because, yeah, it sucks if the strawberry field up the street spraying some shit you can't have, because here's what happens when it goes into the soil. There's this thing where the clouds suck it up and then it rains down and it drips into your shit. Now you got it on your fucking plants. So you guys, yes, it is expensive.
It's the circle of life.
A ton of 40-year-old fucking soil, but it's not as expensive as losing every fucking gram of cannabis that you produce.
Yeah, really beautifully put. Very well put. And cross-contamination is no joke.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
No, I didn't use no Eagle 20. Well, they did 6 years ago, and now you're fucking sticking your plants in the ground.
The gift that keeps on giving. And on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where will I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And we are back, you guys.
Oh, coming up next, you guys know who he is. Jason Beck, the highest Republican, the biggest pain in my butt. I think he fired me, but hey, we'll see. Still my best friend. The High at 9 head honcho, Jason Beck.
Yes, you guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. Man, oh man, oh man. So now this story, it involves cannabis, but that kind of doesn't involve cannabis. But I think it's a very interesting kind of story. So just, full disclaimer, because a California professor is arrested and accused of throwing tear gas canister at the feds during, that's right, you guys, the marijuana farm raid at Glass House, you guys. A California professor has been arrested for allegedly throwing a tear gas container at Immigrations and Custom officials, better known as ICE agents, during a massive raid at a cannabis farm last week, where agitators also hurled rocks and law enforcement vehicles, and the raid led to the arrest of more than 350 illegal aliens, and the farm is suspected of using 14 children in potential forced labor, exploitation, and trafficking violations. Jonathan Anthony Caravallo, a math professor at California State University, Channel Islands, was arrested by federal agents conducting a raid at Glass House Farms in Ventura County, California on Thursday. The U.S. attorney for the Central District of California, Bill Alasai, confirmed this on X. Alasai was responding to a local report on Caravello's arrest, which quotes a social media post from the California Faculty Association, better known as the CFA, labor union, accusing agents of, in quotes, kidnapping Caravello. In a quote, they say, Professor Jonathan Caravello was not kidnapped by federal agents, LSI wrote. He was arrested for throwing a tear gas canister at law enforcement. LSI wrote that Caravello was charged with a violation of 18 U.S.C. 111, assaulting, resisting, or impeding a federal officer. And Caravello appeared in court on Monday and was released on a $15,000 bond per reports. The CFA on Monday posted a video of Caravello's exiting a building in socks with an ankle monitor strapped on his left leg. In a quote, they say, Jonathan is a deeply committed educator and mentor who showed up for their students in immigrant communities, and for that, they were targeted, the CFA wrote. Using gender-neutral pronouns when referring to Caravello, the release sends a powerful message. When we organize and raise our voices together, we win. We are in this fight and will not stop until no one is criminalized for speaking out against injustices. Caravello was seen on body cam footage attempting to kick a canister, then picking it up and throwing it overhand back at agents, according to a federal affidavit cited by Ojai Valley News. The affidavit states that Caravello resisted arrest by refusing to comply with commands, kicking his legs, and attempting to grab a Border Patrol agent's leg during the takedown. He also is accused of using a megaphone with a siren sound to disrupt officers. I don't understand why that's a problem. You got free speech in America. That's the part of the story that I'm just like, that's kind of a lame charge. But nonetheless, Caravello left the scene after the canister incident and returned 2 hours later in different clothes, where he was identified as the alleged canister thrower and arrested. California State University Channel Islands released a statement in support of Caravello and said, at this time, it is our understanding that Professor Caravello was peacefully participating in a protest. I'm not sure how throwing stuff at ICE agents is a peaceful protest, but nonetheless, an act protected under the First Amendment and a right guaranteed to all Americans, the university wrote. If confirmed, we stand with elected officials and community leaders calling for his immediate release, they say. As the raid was taking place, violent clashes erupted between ICE agents and around 500 protesters, and some of whom waved Mexican flags, and federal law enforcement agents were assaulted during the operation, and one agitator appeared to fire a handgun towards agents as the crowd was dispersed with tear gas. The raid is believed to be the second largest single state ICE worksite operation in history, behind the first Trump administration's 2019 Mississippi chicken plant raids that netted almost 700 illegal alien arrests. One man taken into custody has a history of violent crime, including attempted child exploitation. And Fox News has learned that the children rescued at the farm are from Mexico and Honduras, and that immigration authorities are analyzing the criminal histories of all 319 of the detained illegal aliens, you guys. Well. This is an interesting story, interesting development. The protesters definitely were out of hand. There was even a guy that was shooting a gun back at agents. And I just, I'm all fine with people protesting and whatnot, but I don't think that is the way to do it. And I don't understand how throwing things at federal agents is defined as a peaceful protest. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. And the worst part about all this is that Glass House is still not taking any accountability for having these people there. I have yet to see a statement, and I have yet to see the DCC revoke their licenses yet. And I don't understand how anybody can take the DCC seriously if the DCC doesn't revoke their licenses. And Nate, I would love to hear what you have to say about this, because you had your license revoked, and why isn't Glass House's license being revoked for these for having minors in a facility?
First, I have one theory how that could have been a peaceful protest, because I just need to ask the question, how did he get the tear gas canister? Did he bring it with him?
No, he did not. No. Agents threw tear gas out into the crowd to disperse the crowd.
You just said there was tear gas in front of him, and he just threw it away from him? I mean, that's what I would do, right?
No, he didn't throw it away from him. He didn't throw it away from him. He threw it back at the agents.
I was just thinking maybe it was
clearly deliberate.
The tear gas, like that was the one practical direction to toss it. So that's as far as the idea of removing a license versus not. That's been used in terms of a favor-based system. I don't know the exact dynamics that go into, at this point, somebody keeping their license versus losing it, but at this point, what's extremely clear is following the law has nothing to do with keeping your license. So it's almost analogous to when we used to say that cannabis, back, in the, cannabis prohibition days, and when we were all younger, it's almost how we used to all say the reasons why it's illegal are political, not scientific or medical. The reasons why, license are kept versus revoked is, unfortunately, at this point, favor-based, not practical based. So at this point, I can only assume the dynamics that go on in what I would only call a broken or corrupt system. I don't want to, I don't want to forecast too much on something that I truly don't know. But it is frightening to see that, when it is a favor-based system, what kinds of things are allowed to just kind of go versus not. In a lot of these instances too, and I just know in that area from different operations and working with them, a lot of them work as hard as they can to utilize third-party companies to be able to do their hiring and whatnot. I know a lot of these third-party companies are responsible for having to flesh this stuff out. And I know also, for the sake of a lot of the ICE raids that have been happening, say in the Central Valley and Central Coast areas, a lot of the farms in general, I don't know if cannabis can quite do this in those areas with whatever background checks might be required of the workers and what have you.
E-Verify.
But the notion that you have the idea of being able to just kind of have third-party agencies do the dirty work, and you can have a corporation just essentially farm hire out to these people, I think is what creates these weird dynamics.
Well, okay, so here's the problem with that. Go ahead, sorry. No, go ahead. Finish up. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, unfortunately, the notion of keeping your license or not, I mean, as much as that, I appreciate that. And that hits that hits a sharp point for me. That's not, I don't feel like that has too much to do with the dynamic of what we're all watching here. That, favoritism is a part of that. And then when it comes down to the actual people in trouble here, I mean, I'm really interested on what you guys have to say, because I approach this from the science perspective. Jenny, what were you going to say?
Well, from a compliance perspective, everything that you do on your licensed premises is your fucking fault. Mr. Owner, hi, name that signed that license, read the fine print. It says that everything that an agent or an employee or anybody who is doing on behalf of your license is your fucking fault. Every employee has to be
sense.
an employee of a licensed cannabis company. It is fucking illegal to profit from licensed cannabis operations, even as an employee, if you're not employed by a licensed cannabis entity. Now, if there is a fucking, distro who's out a trim company, whatever, all that shit, that's fine. But it's not. It's actually not. And just because we do it all the time doesn't mean that it's the right fucking thing to do, doesn't mean that it falls within regulatory standards. And just because Jimmy jumped off the bridge, Kyle, you might not want to jump with him, big dog. Also, kiss my fucking ass that Glass House, a company as big as Glass House, does not have internal hiring and HR. The fact that 361 of your workers were undocumented, you're telling me you didn't personally ID verify any of them? Not a fucking one? Please. And yes, I'm drinking sugar-free Red Bull. It's delicious. It's fucking strawberry, apricot. And so I'm a little hyped up this morning. But this is pissing me off because, plausible deniability is the name of the game. I totally get it. I was a drug dealer, allegedly. But I'm now your friendly compliance girl who will tell you you're a fucking idiot. Are you kidding me? You're going to tell me that you spend all this money and you have this ginormous staff and none of your HR people were capable of documenting or checking documents or don't know how? Because, it's HR 101. Verify the person that you have employed as the person that you're employing.
Well, in my experience, a lot of people show up at these protests with their head about 4 feet up their ass thinking, I can do whatever I want to do at a protest like this, and it's just going to be okay because I think it's okay to do it.
Yep.
The First Amendment guarantees you the right to peacefully assemble, okay? There was a warrant, a federal warrant that was being executed. And if you don't like what the warrant's doing, you have an absolute right to be on public property protesting. I don't like this, okay? But when the agents declare that this is an unlawful assembly, that means something. You may not like it, but it means that you guys are now unlawfully here. You have to leave. And if you don't leave, now it begins to escalate. And assault is just putting somebody in fear or apprehension of a harmful or offensive touching. Throwing a canister at somebody, shooting at them with a gun, clearly that's an assault. It's not an assault for an assembly to be declared unlawful and them to use tear gas against you. That is not unlawful. You may not like it. I've been at assemblies where tear gas has been used. I didn't like it.
It sucks.
I got the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to be here. This is how it's going to happen. And so you got somebody, and I don't like using pejoratives here, but I'm hard pressed to imagine this guy, this professor, is an Arnold Schwarzenegger type.
No, he's
out there thinking, I'm going to be doing something here to advance some cause, which I agree with you. We shouldn't be arresting nonviolent immigrants. I just don't agree with that. But when you're told, hey, this is a lawful assembly, leave, and you go, yeah, fuck you, I'm going to throw this canister back at you. Find out what happened.
That's a problem,
right? I don't
right?
think a jury is going to buy your story that, I was just defending myself. No, the fuck you weren't. You were there unlawfully. I agree that you should be protesting this, but at some point you need to stop. And when you don't stop, now your mommy and daddy can't protect you because now you're in the system and you're charged with a federal crime of assaulting a federal officer. And this shit just doesn't go well for you.
And Dale, the fact that his school is coming out in support of him, isn't that kind of, isn't that kind of, it gives me the feeling that the school might have, propped him up to do this.
Well, he's not Gandhi. So let's just get rid of that shit right now. Okay. I approve of arresting criminals that are here undocumented or unlawfully. I have no problem with that. But some of the stuff they're doing, I think, goes a little too far. But they had a federal search warrant. So somebody went to a federal magistrate, got a search warrant for illegal activity there. And then we flip into the next problem. Why is Glass House still operating? They should have been suspended. As soon as somebody said you had minors there and 5 busloads of undocumented workers, it's like, oh, dude, You know, come on, Nate, what happened? When Bell Costa got shut down, you guys were standing there holding your dicks going, oh, now what do we do? Well, nobody really seemed to care. When it comes to Glass House, it's like you guys should be standing there holding your dicks right now because Jenny Beth's right. You're responsible for everything on that property. You're going to have insurance and all these contracts for liability issues, but you can't contract away your personal responsibility for not having minors on your property and illegal workers.
I was wondering how they got. I was wondering how the miners got in. I was imagining that maybe like 3 of them stood on each other's shoulders and wore like a trench coat to walk in, kind of thing.
Are you stealing my joke from 2 episodes ago?
Just saying.
Never. You would never steal my joke. I can't imagine. So I'll tell it the right way. It's how Yarrow and Jason get on the roller coasters. They sit on each other's shoulders and throw a trench coat on. But no, there's no plausible deniability here. This is absolute. Listen. If they're contractors, somebody said in the comments, you know, contractors are not employees, even if you blah, 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 blah. So here's how the state of California works. If you tell somebody what time to be at work, if you tell someone what time to go to lunch, if you tell someone how to do their job and where to do it, that is no longer a contractor. And we as an industry have done a horrific job of intentional misclassification, which under HR law in California is also illegal. There's a reason why they've closed these loopholes for other industries. We're not new, we're not special, you guys. So intentionally misclassifying your workforce does not take away the liability that you have as an employer. It's absolutely asinine. And to the tune of 361 people, 14 of them being minors, this is absolutely atrocious. You guys, are you freaking kidding me? Because I'm working with a client right now whose license was just canceled for way less. Way less. And I'm going to figure out how to get it back. And I'm so glad that you guys are letting Glass House continue to operate because you've absolutely undermined your own enforcement of the regulations that you support for the state of California operators. And this is just, we know why it's happening because it's Glass House, because it's Kyle, because it's a former drug enforcement agent, right? Because somebody is giving a whole lot of money to a whole lot of campaigns. And I think it was really, 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 really fun for me to read Gavin Newsom's little piss ass comment because, he only got $100,000 from Kyle and the guys when he definitely donated more to Kristi Noem and he donated more to the Republican Party. It doesn't matter. Guess what? Big businesses lobby politicians. So Gavin, you're not separating yourself here. You're not separating anything. And the fact that you're running and overseeing and are the final say on a regulatory body that is refusing to act when they have absolute authority to do so is egregious. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all if you want to say, oh, well, he didn't give me as much money as the other side. Like, this is crazy. You're admitting he gave you money and you're admitting now you're a little pissed off you didn't get enough. Like, this is just clown school 101. Do you put your shoes or your nose on first when you get dressed in the morning to go to work? Because this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm looking at the DCC. I'm looking at Nicole Elliott. I'm looking at everybody and the powers that be. And where the fuck are you? Because Matthew McLean, Travis White, you guys are so ready to shut everybody else down. This should be a field day for you guys. And it's not. And it's not because Glass House is a tremendous, tremendous monetary infusion to the state of California.
Stone, any thoughts on this?
Nothing to add, really. No, that was a lot, and I appreciate all his insights. I mean, I as far back to the professor. I mean, yeah, you got every right to be there, protest. You know, it's not right. It's human. You know, whatever. It's humane. But once you pick some shit up and you throw it, man, you gotta be. My dad said, what did he say? Don't do the crime. Can't do the time.
Exactly. Exactly right.
He made a decision there.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, screw the guy who threw the tear. Sorry, go ahead, Dale.
Cut to the chase. These employment agreements are designed to get around the LSA requirements. And unions should be up in arms about this. Because, I mean, to be honest, I've done management services agreements in these contracts to move employees away from the plant touching a business so that you're not required to get an LSA. I mean, it happens. I don't like it, but it's part of what's happened. The union should be up in arms here. About allowing this to happen, but I don't hear them screaming and yelling.
Well, I heard them screaming and yelling because they signed up with the wrong union. They signed up with a seafarers union. So I'm hearing them saying, actually, we don't touch cannabis. So I don't know how this happened, but like, no, this is egregious. And screw the guy who threw the tear gas back. What about the guy that was shooting at cops?
Well, I saw a picture of them identifying who that was, and so they're looking to
This is 2025,
to get that guy
you
into
guys.
custody.
This is not 1995 where people, have a pager and it's going to take somebody a payphone to get to you. Like, they have facial recognition. Most of you dumbasses all post your faces all over social media, and then you go commit these ridiculous crimes with your face out. And then you think, oh, they'll never find me. Are you kidding? I just watched a video of somebody cheating on his wife at a Coldplay concert, and it's all over his wife's Instagram already this morning because the internet is undefeated. You guys, there's no privacy anymore. There's no privacy anymore. You don't get to. And first of all, me and the police have not had the best relationships at all time, but we do need them. And somebody just got up in the morning and did their job. They went to go deal with undocumented people and enforce federal law, and you shot at them? Please explain to me how that is humanitarian. Explain to me how that is social justice. You shot at them.
And how is that peaceful protesting? How's that peaceful protesting?
It's not peaceful protesting, and people brought children to this. As a mother, that makes my stomach ache.
Bullet has no sense of radar or direction. It just goes wherever it's pointed. And they were pointing that gun back towards police officers. That's attempted murder. That shit is just, you're going to be passed around in prison like fresh fish.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. In all reality, I'm waiting to see Pam Bondi and the Justice Department start a probe into corruption into the DCC, because if the DCC doesn't remove Glass House, to me the only next plausible cause of any type of recourse is a full investigation by the federal government into the DCC for corruption and all of that type of good stuff. All
of the things that we know that are going on, Jason. No, it's absolutely aggressive. I don't understand how this is contained. Well, I do understand. First of all, I do. It's called revenue generation. However, you guys, how do you get up in the morning? You're like, we're doing the right thing, because you're not. You're not. And so there's right and there's wrong. I can get up in the morning, I can look myself in the mirror and be like, it might have sucked, but I did the right thing.
Who does do the right thing, Jenny Beth?
There are now multiple instances too where they've conducted their own scientific investigation, and they release what their version of the findings are, and people say, well, what evidence? How did you get this information? What data? What did you use to draw your data from? And they say, we're not revealing any of this. And this is now that happened to us. That's happened across the board multiple times, where they stand behind, I don't know what you would call it, Dale. Maybe you have some insight, but they do their best to just simply not share data. They say through, magic, we basically say you're wrong and we're right. And you say, that doesn't make any sense. They say, too bad, the decision's been made. They're leaving themselves really open. There's going to be no shortage of investigations when this shit actually pops.
Yeah. I have a middle school age child, right? And they're doing this new math that's freaking terrible. And my child can get the right answer on the test, but not be able to show his work, and his answer is now wrong. The DCC does not give supportive evidence because they know that they can't support it. And that is an absolute result of us having a group of people who are regulating an industry that they do not understand.
I agree, but that's not science. And that should be painfully clear to anybody who heard those same words you just uttered, that what that is a favoritism and cherry picking for what they consider to be creating their own reality, maybe. To me, as somebody who works in sciences, who's bound by logic and science, hell fucking no. That's not permissible. The very fact of the matter that one person would try it and another person would allow it blows my fucking mind.
No, 1,000%. And I think it's very clear, and it has been very clear for the last few years, when the DCC enters a facility and they're there to either, one, do a regular inspection, or two, shut you down. They have their minds made up before they come in, right? They're working backwards. They're like, we're going to shut these guys down today. Let's go in and find the reasons to do so, or find something that, we can justify as the reason to do so. The fact that I've had clients sit there and be shut down since Good Friday with no response, no results to anything. I'm like, listen, I live an hour and a half away. We've sent the team home because it is a holiday weekend. So yes, we gave them the half day off, and no one's there to open the gate. Happy to meet you Monday morning.
10 a.m. Whatever.
We've emailed them every 48 hours since we got, sorry to interrupt, Dale, real quick. We've emailed them every 48 hours since we've been shut down. We're rounding the number of about 50 different emails that are going unresponded to. Please, Dale, sorry to interrupt.
My favorite is when I get a freaking I'm out to vacation email back 48 hours after I've sent an email request. And I'm like, oh, but you weren't 48 hours ago. You just chose not to reply. And it was really cute when they had the whole budget pass through. They then were not responding. They were out of office conveniently until the day after the budget proposal vote, which gave them law enforcement powers, right? And then following that, they were then out until July 1st, which is when those changes took effect. Like, come on, they're not going to because they don't have to. And we've beat this drum on this story. But Dale, what were you saying? I apologize.
Well, the problem involves the administrative law system. And I've tried cases there, and it doesn't have near the teeth you have in the real court system. Because I demand discovery. I send out requests for production of documents, interrogatories, requests for admissions, all this stuff, which nails them down. What is it you have to prove your case against my client? In administrative law, what they did to Bel Costa is they offered him a truncated hearing situation. They didn't tell him that if you choose this path, you're basically fucked. You don't get another opportunity at this. By the time you got to the real court, we're doomed. I like to be in a real court where I can walk in front of a judge that I demanded they give me these documents. They refused. Now I want a sanction of terminating the whole goddamn case against them because they won't come clean. And then I get to pick a jury and bring my own experts in to prove that your cause of action was horse shit, was based on nothing, and I get a jury to look at it and say, no, we're not here for either side. We're looking at this objectively, and you guys built a case on nothing and took away somebody's livelihood. Now we're going to award damages. In the administrative law system, you don't get that. And that's one of the complaints we've had for years, is that your license is gone, and now what? By the time you get to court and really get a jury to hear this, you guys are dead. You're beyond bankrupt. You can't recover from this. Attorneys don't do this for free because it's not like a PI case where you're going to pay out and you get a percentage of it. You got to pay by the hour. So the system doesn't work well, and it irritates me. We need to fix it so that the judges can demand you produce your evidence or we dismiss your case or something. Because you just get screwed in the administrative process.
You're right, and on that, we're going to keep this train rolling. We've been on this soapbox for a while, but nonetheless, we're going to keep on rolling into Mr. Attorney at Law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet and nasty and they make your breath stink, but he is honest and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinions, and anyone else's opinion for that matter. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is none other your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Yeah, full
full of shit again. Here we go, Jenny. Get ready. I'm almost educatable on some stuff. This is your favorite Tio Loco. And my story that comes out of Marijuana Moment, it's by Kyle Yeager. It was authored yesterday, but this is a long-standing issue I've been beating the drum about. The headline is Bipartisan Lawmakers Talk Psychedelics, Trump's VA Head, Reaffirming Commitment to Supporting Veterans' Access to Therapy. Now, I am a veteran. I was diagnosed with PTSD. Mine was not severe, but I still got it. And I have worked with so many veterans who have used psychedelics to break the cycle of negative thoughts and to get out of the severe depressions, the suicidal ideations, things like that. So I find it encouraging that there's a group called the Psychedelic Advancing Therapies. PATH is a bipartisan group in Congress, and they've been working with the VA Secretary Doug Collins. And if we bring in Bobby Kennedy, who's HHS secretary. What we have is a group here who don't buy the bullshit out of the Nixon era, that psychedelics are all this terrible stuff. And, if I can harken back a bit, Tim Leary kicked their ass in marijuana 1969. And he was one of the staunchest advocates for psychedelic therapy going back into the 50s. They'd found it's a better antidepressant than any SSRI. It was working wonders. But when he got the old Marijuana Tax Act thrown out, he didn't make any friends in the Nixon administration. And so when the CSA, the Controlled Substance Act, was passed, there were substances stuck into Schedule 1 for other than objective reality. Marijuana for the hippies and the anti-war people, heroin for the blacks, and psychedelics were put in there. John Ehrlichman never told us why Nixon stuck them there, but you just have to imagine. Psychedelics were changing a lot of people's minds about the government and control and things like that. They're very effective as psychotropic agents. So let's jump forward. We still have psychedelics stuck in Schedule 1, where we've got cannabis and heroin. Okay. Now, I think heroin's less of a problem today than fentanyl is, but fentanyl is not, as far as I know, fentanyl is Schedule 1 drug because it's still used. I mean, when I was in medicine, we used fentanyl to knock people out to, to set a broken leg or something like that, reversed it with Narcan. So it is a useful substance unless you're mixing it with your meth or your MMDA or whatever. It's bad stuff. But it's hard to find something negative to say about psychedelics. They used to tell us if you took acid, you were going to jump out of a window. You're going to think that a hot is your brother and try to kiss it or some stupid shit like that. But I can tell you, my first psychedelics were in 1972, I think, maybe early 73. I was 18 years old, and it made a great concert, but it changed my way of thinking without even me knowing it. And since then, I've worked with multiple veterans with PTSD and other people with PTSD and things like that with psychedelic therapy. And this stuff, breakthroughs are incredible. We've had trouble getting research. And now the VA has been funded to the tune of $10 million to study active duty soldiers with psychedelic therapy, which I think is a good thing. You should not put that stigma on somebody. If you take, ecstasy, ibogaine, there's a whole list of these, they call them psychedelics, but they tend to loosen up some of the ways of thinking in your head. So therapy now can get through and help you stop thinking you're going to kill yourself. We still have about 20 veterans a day trying to kill themselves. And that's just the veterans who suffer from significant PTSD. As Jenny can tell you, any of us who have been diagnosed with PTSD, this can be an ongoing problem, sometimes worse than others. But when I signed up for the Navy, I stuck my ass in the hands of the government. They could do whatever they wanted with me, and we were involved in a war. We've had tons of veterans since there that have put their asses in the line of fire for our country, come back with problems, emotional problems, hard to break through. Okay. And this is a therapy that everybody agrees it has worked wonders for certain people. And why in the world this stuff is not a first line use for people who come in complaining of things like PTSD. I don't know why, or severe intractable depression, things like that. It works on these people. So I'm hoping this signals that the Trump administration and the central part of our federal government has recognized that this stuff works. We need to move forward in a positive way to make these therapies available to our veterans and then spill it out into the general community where you can train psychiatrists and psychologists and even social workers to understand how this works and help people with therapy. Because you go to these people when you're having suicidal ideations, but there are therapies they're not allowed to talk with you about. I think that's crazy and stupid. I'm hoping that this is further evidence that we're moving to a place where the VA will help you, where you can go to your general practitioner, he'll point you in the terms, in the direction of a therapist to help you, and these will be integrated into your therapy because they actually, I can tell you from personal experience of myself and from so many people, veterans I've worked with that were looking at jumping off a bridge, are now, productive members of our society again, and we should not have the stigma attached to it. This demands research immediately. The research is still there from the 50s, but we need to get this targeted for dosages, how to use it, and train people to use it as part of therapy. I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What do you think?
Wow. Jenny Beth, you want to touch on this?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to. So the problem here is if we make it where we're actually giving dosages and we're actually doing real research, they can't deny the fact that this is helpful. I think it's a shame that we are putting people, like, I'm sorry, psych meds, I have a problem with that. Like, numbing someone and making them not feel is not therapeutic. That's not helping someone's quality of life. That's not doing anything to enrich it, right? So, yeah, I guess we'll see where we go with this, Dale. We've been arguing about it, and there's been anecdotal evidence. There's been tons and tons of use cases throughout history, right? And we still want to just cover our eyes and pretend we can't see it. If they can't see it, it's not real. If they can't see it, it's not real, and the big pharmaceutical companies aren't affected. So, I mean, I am cautiously optimistic that we'll actually start to give a shit about the people who fight for our country and give us the right to sit here and be willfully ignorant. But it's really unfortunate. And we look back as far as, you know, the history of the military is gone. We've tested all kinds of shit on active duty troops. And that was absolutely unacceptable. We're using them as human lab rats while they're fighting for our freedom to do so. So I told you guys, my family is full of veterans. I appreciate them. Thank you, everybody who's watching who served. I greatly appreciate your desire to go out and risk yourself so we can sit here and have these silly discussions on weekday mornings. But yeah, we need to do better. We need to find some therapeutic treatments that are plant-based, that are natural, that don't harm people while we're trying to help them, because I don't know what part of the Hippocratic Oath that serves, but apparently it does, because it makes money, right?
Very, very, very much so. Very, very, very much so. Nate, what do you have to say about this, Nate?
Only excellently put by the first two. Dale, thank you for that full breakdown and outlook. That was really really interesting to listen to. Really enjoyed that viewpoint that you shared with us. No, I have nothing professionally to add. Simply that I like the subject matter. I agree with these products. From a personal standpoint, I would rather see something that was naturally derived, like mushrooms, than virtually any of the other mood-altering, mind-altering, pharmacological products that we see on the market. And I can't wait to see it explored more. However, I feel that thought is probably shared by most here. So no, that's very well put, guys. Thank you.
Stone
Well,
Slade?
yeah, I mean, like, we're putting people on antidepressants, and one of the side effects is it might make you kill yourself. Make that make sense. Make it, like, I've dealt with PTSD, I've dealt with anxiety. It's fucking miserable to go from a fully, highly functioning adult to feeling like, wait, why can I physically not be around people right now? Why can I physically not control my brain? And it's, you know, it's not an emotional situation. It's not anything that anyone probably ever chooses, because Jesus Christ. I'm very grateful for plant-based therapeutics that have helped me get past that. But there are some things in life you're not supposed to go through. There are some things in life you're not supposed to see. Like, your body is not wired to go see your guys that you've been serving with and working with blown up. Those are not things that, you know, you have a natural built-in trauma response for. If you do, my friend, you might be a sociopath, and you probably are not okay, because it's the human condition to be a social, caring person. So, you know, we need to figure out how to fix people as opposed to just numbing them.
Well said, Jenny Beth. Stone, what do you got to say, Stone?
I mean,
you're a fun guy.
You guys hit all the points. You know, it's the step in the right direction. Like to see some follow through. Unfortunately, I think a lot of politicians like to keep using the vets as political tools. So we'll see if they ever really do get the help that they need.
Sure. Nothing moves slower than the VA.
You know, Doug Collins is pretty efficient, though. You know, I have a lot of faith in Doug. I've known him for a while, and I found him to be a very stand-up individual.
I love your faith in all of the people that you support, Jason. I do appreciate that about you. I myself am a ride or die, mostly to my own detriment, but Jason, as a system, it's antiquated, it's broken.
I agree with it that the system is antiquated and the system is broken, and that's why I'm so glad that Trump is in there every day dismantling it and breaking it down and helping to rebuild it, something that works much better and much more efficient for people.
Hey, listen, doge it up. Let's go.
And Mr. Doug Collins is part of that, working on the VA, because everybody knows that I mean, even people that aren't veterans know that the VA is not a functional thing that helps veterans to the maximum of its true capabilities. And there's tons of veterans that are constantly complaining about how hard it is to work or get anything out of the VA and how dysfunctional that they are. And so they need some functionality there. And so, and I've always been, anything that helps and supports veterans and helps them with their trauma and get over things and get back to being functional members of society, or even just good members to enjoy our society, I'm 100% for all day, every which way, up and down, left, right, north, east, south, west.
Well, should be. I mean, like I contracted for the VA in my early 20s, and I went in to meet with the new facility director when they opened the new facility in my hometown, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting to be acknowledged at the front counter to tell them what I'm here for. And the woman at the front counter looks up at me and she goes, "What?"
Yeah, see, that's not appropriate. That's not,
because
you know what I mean?
She thought I was a patient.
Going to the veterans should not be like going to the DMV, Jenny.
To treat me like shit because she thought I was a patient. Like, that's just so egregious. And I wish that Elon would have doged up the VA before he threw his hissy fit. But hey,
and one step at a time. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back. Oh, yeah, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And I'm going to cut it short right there because we are behind time, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
There we go. Yep. All right, Jenny, you got started.
Well, you might think it's a Dapper Dan man straight out of the ATX, but it's not. It's water from a straw in his cup. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Stone Slade.
Oh, Jenny, giving up my secrets.
Oh man, that was pretty smooth, Stone. Pretty smooth, I must say.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
First of all, that intro off the cuff was excellent. Like, come on.
Thank you. Made me, I didn't get anyway. I was running late today. Yeah. All right, I have a happy story today.
I love this.
Here we go. You've heard of shotgun weddings? How about a bong rip wedding? An Ohio couple is saying I do be later this month, and no, it's not in a courthouse or barn venue. It's happening at a full-blown cannabis festival. Tina Hall and Brian McDonald, whose love story spans more than 4 decades, are getting married at the Stargazer Cannabis Festival in Waverly, Ohio. And officiating the ceremony, none other than Afro Man. Now, before I write this off, as a novelty act cooked up in a cloud of smoke, this couple has a story that hits way deeper than your average rom-com. Tina and Brian met when they were in the 3rd grade. She was in 3rd grade. He was her best friend's older brother. Years passed. They dated as teens, had a daughter together in high school. After high school, broke up in separate ways. Life happened, kids, time, and all of that, but they stayed connected through co-parenting. Then in 2017, everything changed. Brian suffered a brain aneurysm and Tina rushed to be by his side, and she never left. She calls it their 51st date story because memory loss from the aneurysm means every day is unpredictable. But cannabis, she says, has played a key role in his recovery, and not just part of their lifestyle, it's part of their healing. So when Brian saw an article about the Stargazer Festival offering free cannabis dream wedding, he knew that it was more than just a gimmick, it was them. Festival founder Chad Thompson said their story stood out instantly. They jumped through the tape at us, and he said the festival was covering the wedding, the honeymoon to Jamaica, and even gave them some extra tickets, enough tickets so that family and friends could attend, regardless of whatever they can, if they consume or not. And honestly, what's more wholesome than a stoner love story with full family support? Tina and Brian's tale is the kind of story cannabis culture rarely gets credit for, one that's rooted in love, longevity, and caregiving, and yes, maybe even a little chronic, because while the world sees weed as a vibe, for this couple, it's been medicine, memory, and meaning. The Stargazer Festival runs July 25th through 27th and includes everything from joint rolling contests to the world's largest pot brownie. So here's to Tina and Brian, 2 hearts, 1 love, and a marriage sealed not with a kiss, but with some puffs. I'm Stone Slade for the High at 9 News.
I'm just gonna.
This sounds like a super gimmick.
Couldn't be me, but hey, wow. It's really fun to watch these new markets get excited about shit we were doing 20 years ago, and I'm like, go into that. But I mean, congratulations to the lovebirds. I love love, so congratulations.
It tied in a good medical story too, so I thought it was.
I see what you did.
It did tie in a good medical story. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one, Stone. But I hope that part of their vows they're writing them themselves, I assume, is because I got high.
How are they having Afro Man as the clergy member?
So
I've met him before, and he's a fantastic person.
He is hilarious. I'm actually ordained, Jason, by the Church of Dudism because I thought I was going to have to marry.
Did you say the Church of Dudism?
The Church of Buddhism, the dude abides. Yeah, you just have to promise to be really cool.
God.
And it is recognized. It is a recognized. I'm a Presbyterian, but it is a recognized religion.
Stone is actually an usher at that church. He passes the pot around.
Yeah. Do you have to do a ceremony in a robe with a white Russian?
What's that? Yeah. What's that, Stone?
Isn't that the dude? That is
the dude. Yeah. Yes, that is the dude. Yes, with the white Russian in the bathrobe. Yes, yeah, that is the dude.
And who doesn't love that?
I didn't know you were Scots Irish there, Jenny Beth.
I know.
Listen, me too.
Yeah.
I'm the melting pot, that one we read about in school. That's me. I'm all things. This story is, all right, first of all, this story's fucking hilarious. And also thanks for biting Rochelle in her wedding, because she definitely did a very cannabis-infused wedding. They did a really tasteful job of it.
There's been a lot of weed-centric weddings. I mean, there's a cannabis wedding
expo at this point. It's definitely a thing. As someone who has a child's father and an ex-husband that I met both through cannabis, I'm not saying that I'd ever do that again, but hey, get in where you fit in.
Fair. I went to a weed wedding. It was when we were all in Jamaica for the High Times Cannabis Cup back then, and Adam got married, better known as Kyle Cushman got married while we were all there on the island for that whole festivities and whatnot. And so it is a thing. I find it interesting. I don't know if I would want a weed centric wedding. I'd like to have weed at my wedding and people consuming weed at my wedding, but I wouldn't want it to be like a focal point of the wedding. I just feel like that's a little, but to each their own.
I'm more of a barefoot on the beach kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be the guy in the weed leaf tuxedo?
Never in a million years.
Maybe a weed leaf top hat.
Not even
Can
that.
we find the picture of Jason in the fuchsia suit?
You're not going to find me pictures in fuchsia shoot.
Yes, we are. Jason, you wore it to the Emerald Cup in the Berg.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did do that. Yeah, that's fair. I still have that outfit. That's a fantastic outfit.
I know. I tried to throw it away when I was helping you pack when you were moving, and you said no.
Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic outfit.
Got to find a woman that'll actually do this with him, so we're waiting for that.
You guys, Jason Beck, here's my PSA. Jason Beck is single and available. If you would like your own Jason Beck, please submit your resumes to me. I need a headshot, not a mugshot. Full background check. Please send your credit report.
Have you seen
and a short cover letter explaining why Jason is for you?
Have you seen that Instagram page where it's like all the chicks that are like arrested in like Montana and Utah and whatnot, and they're like trying to catch men, and they're like on the phone calls giving like their whole little dating profile?
It's called mug shotties.
Yeah, it's so hilarious.
It's absolutely
it's so hilarious.
You want to know where your girl is at all times? That's a great option.
It's so hysterical, so hysterical. Well, this was a fun little story.
Of being a skank, huh? Show us some cleavage in your profile, and I just want your man. Doesn't matter.
Wow, Dale, a skank.
Get it.
Guys are doing it too. Maybe I'll go shopping at a low security federal prison and find 6'5", blue eyes, in finance. It might have been a white collar crime, but he's in finance. I'm sure he hid the money overseas somewhere. Yeah.
Oh man.
He's a sociopath.
Yep.
That's the typical scenario.
That's my type, Dale.
He's got the private jet parked in the Canary Islands, just waiting to pick him up.
That's my type. I'm gonna, yeah.
Fair enough. And on Jenny Beth's hype, we're gonna roll into our next commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Oh yeah, that's more like it, Jenny Beth, and we're back.
Yeah. That is an accurate assessment.
Jenny Beth,
for sure.
We're back, Jenny.
Well, mazel. And rolling right into our next correspondent, the founder of All Costs Celebs, who's fighting the DCC because somebody fucking has to. Nate.
Hey everybody!
Nate Winokur.
Thank you so much, and thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Jenny Beth. Thank you, Jason.
Yes.
I want to give you guys a little bit more of that science meets cannabis flavor. I've always tried to stick to being able to give as much insight as to what I was able to see in the cannabis world in the labs. And in this case, this is a study coming to you from Canada, where that's a place where I feel like in some ways they do it right, in some ways not so much. A huge amount of the cannabis, if not all of it's irradiated. I'm not sure if that's exactly where we want to go with the industry. But on the other side, it does look like they're looking into certain buying patterns and certain ways of understanding the plant. And I like to look at this kind of stuff and express studies like this into what I can try to educate. So here's an article that I wrote for everybody today. New study reveals why THC might not tell you what you think. Why a single plant can test at 17% and 24% at the same time. A recent peer-reviewed study in Scientific Reports takes a long, hard look at the way we evaluate cannabis, and it might help put the myth to rest that THC percentage tells the whole story of quality. Over the course of the year, Researchers from a Canadian cultivation facility collected and tested over 4,000 cannabis samples, analyzing more than 500 individual plants. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of time right there. Their goal was to understand how THC concentration actually behaves within and across harvests of the same genetic line. 4 key findings to share. Number 1, in a single plant, THC concentration can vary by as much as 7%, depending on where the sample was taken. Top colas had significantly higher potency than lower buds on the same stalk. Also, for just a quick little side tangent, I've run a similar study, and wouldn't you know, for indoor plants, while you'll find the highest THC on the top of the plant, that's not where you'll always find the highest terpene content. The highest terpene content will be around mid-canopy, where you have not quite as much light energy, beating some of those more volatile compounds out of the plant in mid-growth kind of setting. Anyhow. Key finding number 2, across multiple harvests of the same cultivar, even under controlled conditions, average THC levels varied by up to 12%, a massive swing considering most retail markets, which is a massive swing, which considering most retail cannabis is marketed by percentage alone. Key finding number 3. Between the highest and lowest THC readings of the same cultivar across different harvests, the difference was as much as 16.7% THC. Key finding number 4, the variability held even with precision-controlled inputs like lighting, irrigation, and feeding schedules, providing the problem isn't sloppy cultivation, it's the natural biology of the plant. These numbers may sound shocking to some, but for growers and scientists who've long compared the testing process to squeezing juice from oranges, sometimes they're dry, sometimes juicy, it confirms what many have observed for years. THC is a moving target. The implications are massive. If a single plant can produce buds that test at 17% and 24%, what exactly is the true THC number? And to some of these lawsuits that have actually erupted from this, what the fuck, right? Anyhow. Researchers also address how sample selection plays a major role in determining a product's reported potency. In Canada, unlike many of the regulated markets in the US, licensed producers submit representative samples for testing, but there is no guarantee these samples actually reflect the broader batch, which is something local US markets struggle with as well. So for anybody just half listening, in Canada, they actually get to hand select and send in what buds they get to have tested, which definitely has some impact right there in terms of what people might be doing to sort of doctor those results. Simply put, a larger crown, more beautiful, untouched nug will fetch a much, much higher percentage than any larfy, pebbly smalls or, just tiny buds that come from the bottom. So what does this mean for the average consumer or policymaker who still treats THC as the one number that matters? Simply put, THC isn't everything. It's a helpful reference point within a batch or when comparing identical genetics across a single harvest, but it fails as a universal quality marker, especially when trying to compare two completely different genetics, such as an OG strain, which may test close to 30 at times, to a Kush, which will generally never test higher than the teens. Each strain expresses its own unique balance of compounds that shape the experience far more than THC alone. What gets you high isn't just potency, it's chemistry, and that chemistry varies wildly between cultivar families. More importantly, the fixation on THC percentage tends to add confusion, not clarity, to the conversation around cannabis quality. As many experts have argued, it's the full chemical fingerprint, including terpenes, esters, flavonoids, and other volatile compounds, that actually tells us how a strain will smell, taste, and feel. Until the industry shifts away from THC-driven marketing, consumers will keep chasing a number that doesn't mean what they think it does, and science, more than ever, is helping to back that up. So I'm interested also to you guys, what you consider to be high quality, especially when we mention something like variability and what that means, because these guys corrected for everything and yet it was still different. And I think that tells me what I expect to see all the time. That oranges example is something I've been saying for years. You buy a bag of oranges, some are juicy, some are dry. Does that mean the dry oranges are doing the juicy ones a disservice, or one in the middle? Or is that just the nature of oranges? And that's what I want to open up to you guys.
Let me tell you something, Nate. There needs to be there needs to be an even number of blueberries in every single muffin, Nate. Okay, that's what it all comes down to.
Are you counting them? Because I feel like that's an even number of where you sit on the autism spectrum.
Actually, 17 blueberries in every blueberry muffin, Jenny Beth.
Okay, I'm just saying that there's definitely a diagnosis for that, like somewhere. I don't know what it is. That's not my specialty, but there's a diagnosis.
It's called OCD.
So.
It's called OCD. I have OCD.
I don't know.
Bad.
That might blow that one out of the water, but all right. So yeah, I mean, it's a plant. It grows that way. Like there's no rhyme or reason. You can do as well as you can do with standardizing your procedures, but at the end of the day, it's a plant, and you don't get to make the rules for how said plant grows. And also, THC is, think of it as the thing that lifts the plane off. It does not decide where you're flying to. So THC content is not everything, but unfortunately, we've done a terrible disservice once again to our consumers and educated them the wrong way in the name of marketing.
Yep, I totally agree with that. And the regulators don't help that at all by requiring these type of labeling standards on the package. And you can't blame the customer, for being uneducated on that, because they've always been taught that THC is what gets you high, and they're not wrong with that part of it. And so it's just a common correlation for people to think, oh, the higher the number, the higher I'm going to get. But the reality of it is that your body is like a sponge, and you can only soak up so much of that at the same time. And so it's, even if it's 56% THC, your body can only hold 17% THC, and so it doesn't really matter.
It's really interesting.
The way the system was set up was to test for THC. And they require that the testers go out and take their own samples. But they only give you a 10% variance, or you're out of compliance. And there's more than 10% variance on plants. If they really took nugs off the bottom and off the top, you see it's more than 10% variance. So the whole thing is set up to be non-objective. And then they marketed the hell out of weed for high THC. So they box themselves into a corner here. And how horrible would it be to have to go back and relabel all your product because the DCC came in and took some samples and found out, well, it wasn't 32%, it was only 23%. Well, with the same plant, and if you took enough testing and averaged them, and we might have a better number. There's so many things about the way that cannabis is COA'd that you just want to shake your head about. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. If they COA'd the typical edible product out there in the grocery store like they do our products, they'd be filling dumpsters all day long with shit that would never pass it. So you can't make any objective sense out of this, because anybody in agriculture knows you look at tons. You don't look at one plant and take a couple little samples of, a couple milligrams here or there. It's tons, it's averages. But we've boxed ourselves into a system now that just doesn't really make a lot of objective sense.
It's interesting that we have, we need to use practical systems to be able to show how wrong things are perceived in cannabis. Again, with oranges or apples or virtually anything else, for one to be crunchy and another to be tart and yet another to be sweet and another to be dry. We know these differences exist. That's not new news if I told you that was the case with strawberries. But for some reason people seem to think that cannabis escapes, even in the most basic ways, the fact that it's basic agriculture, and that's not how this works. And so on one hand, we cannabis professionals can discuss across the board and say, of course, but while we've been doing that, and since the beginning of the article, no fewer than 50 interactions have happened in the United States where somebody says, so this one has the highest THC, which means it's the best. And some bud tender said, you're darn tootin', you know?
Yeah.
That's not how this needs to be discussed or framed. And for some reason, when we talk about this in other areas, it's understood. If I told you that the best, enter your favorite spirit or drink here, the best version of that isn't going to be the one that's spiked the highest in alcohol. On the contrary, the one that spiked the highest in alcohol is Everclear. Nobody drinks that shit. That's a terrible experience. That'll give you a headache. Nobody smokes this dry, high THC stuff when they have a choice. It's a terrible experience. It gives you a headache. In fact, when I ran a focus group a couple of years ago on this very thing, high THC, low terpene cannabis, across the board was described, the one term people used to describe it was harsh, which makes, when again amongst people who know cannabis deep down, that makes sense. But somehow this information doesn't have a trickle down effect. It's interesting when you consider and look at it all. Of course, THC doesn't matter. How else, and I just put this out to everybody, how else do we reinforce that message? Because it's one that keeps missing the mark. And at the same time, some of my favorite strains have virtually disappeared. You guys remember Bubba Kush?
Mm-hmm.
How awesome was it to have Bubba Kush? Here's the bad news: it's 12% on a good day.
They got Bubba Kush and all those China grows all over the place. Bubba's still
Bubba
around.
Kush, or the actual genetic and how it used to taste, as well as a few other Kushes. I mean, remember Master Kush? Lost to the ages. That one hit 15% on a good day. And simply spoken, this hyper focus on THC not only is tearing out like the heart and soul of what cannabis could be, it's removing desirable strains from the market, while at the same time, because not every strain actually produces high THC, what we're doing is we're creating a singularity where only strains with that produce high THC and strains crossed with those, largely across the OG family, strains crossed with those or into those that also produce high THC, everything's becoming one. So if you go back to 10, 15 years ago and it felt like you would walk into a cannabis store and everything on the shelf was OG, there were 90 strains and 88 of them were OG. That was it. At the time my lab was shut down, it was single digit, maybe only about 2 to 5% of what we tested was even a true sativa. Crazy. Fair. I mean, diversity, like who doesn't want that when you know what the fuck you want, you know what you're talking about. And unfortunately, the market has done people so much of a disservice by just creating this singularity. I can't wait for it to end.
I feel you. Nate. This is an interesting study. Thank you so much for bringing this and putting together this original piece on this study. It's definitely interesting. And terpenes to me are the way. THC is just an arbitrary number. It really doesn't matter. But to me, it's all about the flavonoids and the terpenes ultimately. And
there's more there too. There's esters. That's what gives it a lot of the fruity flavors. There's thiols. That's where a lot of the skunkiness kind of comes in, and some of the gassiness. I'm not going to bore everybody by multiple syllabic words you won't hear again this week, but this is going to be this is awesome. And when we talk about terpenes, that's like talking about the chocolate chips and chocolate chip cookies. It's part of the story, but there's so much to it. And that's what we should be examining, not playing this imaginary big dick contest with high THC.
Yeah. I totally agree, and we're doing a disservice to the whole community overall every time a bud tender is like, oh yeah, this is the highest THC that we have on the shelf. Yeah, this is what you should buy. So stupid, but whatever. I have been trying to find a good story to end with. You guys, are you guys ready for this?
Yep, rounding out the caboose of this train, the biggest rear end at the High at 9 News, Jason Beck.
That's cute, Jenny Beth. That's cute. You're very cute.
I know.
Very cute. Well, Montana lawmakers, they fail to override the governor's veto of a marijuana tax revenue bill. So congratulations, Montana. An effort by Montana lawmakers to override override Governor Greg Gianforte's veto of Senate Bill 537 has officially failed, effectively halting a sweeping proposal to restructure how the state allocates its marijuana tax revenue. The bill, sponsored by Senator Daniel Zolinkov, received strong bipartisan support when it initially passed, clearing the Senate in a 42-8 vote and the House in a 17-6 margin. The 2/3 majority in both chambers left open the possibility of overriding the governor's veto, but that path has now been closed. Senate Bill 537 would have overhauled the state's marijuana tax distribution system, creating several new dedicated accounts, including the Habitat Legacy account, the Land and Wildlife Stewardship Fund, and a Big Game and Wildlife Highway Crossings account. It also proposed expanding funding to the HEART, H-E-A-R-T, the Healing and Ending Addiction Through Recovery and Treatment account, and directing millions to nonprofit homeless shelters for case management services. Other provisions included grants to law enforcement agencies for drug detection, canine training, crisis intervention instruction, and forensic exams in sexual assault cases. Supporters had touted the bill as a balanced and forward-thinking way to reinvest marijuana revenue into public health, safety, and conservation. However, with the veto override attempt now unsuccessful, the state will continue to operate under the existing marijuana law tax structure, you guys, which is what we were saying when we covered this story originally of what it needs to be, and that it was a terrible bill and how this was just going to, exacerbate a bunch of funds and whatnot and misappropriate a bunch of funds and this and this and that. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Congratulations, Montana.
They just think that the cannabis is going to pay for everything someone could imagine. It needs to be fixed in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. It doesn't. They need to just go back to printing money if they want to fix everything. That's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it. You with us?
Fuck, I'm on mute. They printed a whole lot of USDT this morning, so.
Any other final thoughts on this?
I'm tired.
She's tired. Well, she's nappy time for Jenny Beth. Nate, you have any thoughts on this tax structure? This bill is finally DOA. So good job, Governor.
I feel like, the nature of what stifled cannabis businesses to grow, from, what's stifled them from growing, what's prevented growth in the cannabis industry. It's monumental in terms of how held back our industry has gone from virtually everything else, which was allowed to have structures built around it and its success. I mean, look, for instance, alcohol, except for a brief period about 100 years ago, has been generally legal. Businesses were allowed when they came in to be formed around them. Sure, regulation and safety were in mind, but stifling these businesses was never allowed. Cannabis has been through some epic levels of demonization and throttling in order to start up our industry. I want to believe we're all going to be, some version of, cannabis diehard, heroes someday. But man, the odds have always been stacked against us in this industry for such an awesome plant. It's just, it's such a contradiction, guys. I mean, if anything, I'm 3 steps further, I'm going to start waxing philosophical, but that's pretty much how far I've taken it. It doesn't, and at this point, I'm simply mirroring what everybody's thinking. It doesn't make any sense.
Any other final thoughts, Dale, on this, Montana?
Well, I think they've woken up to the fact that this industry can't perform all these functions, and that I wish California would wake up to the same reality, because it's even worse out here. They've already got these laws in place where they want to fix every problem you can possibly imagine off the back of the cannabis industry. And it's just not possible to do. We need to tighten the ship up, make sure the industry can survive. You can always increase taxes if it's actually going well. What we got now, 19% in California, like shit, I don't see how an industry can survive. And in the future, they're going to be teaching this shit at Wharton School. How do you kill an industry? Let's take a look at it. You tax and regulate the shit out of it, then blame it on the people who can't follow the taxes and regulations. It's nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can shear a sheep many times and skin it only once, right? You can't kill the milk cow and expect it to keep giving you milk. Like, this is absolutely egregious. We know it doesn't work. I do get pissed off at the retail level because the taxes are on receipts. You're collecting it, so you're essentially a steward for those taxes. You're a fiduciary who is tasked with collecting it from the general public and passing it on to the government. And just because you dipped into it because you overspent on your security or whatever the hell else you overspent on, and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, doesn't cut the mustard for me. However, at other levels of the industry, like, guys, come on, we gotta get better. This is absolutely egregious, and cannabis can do a lot of good things from a revenue generation point, but we can't do all of them. Maybe if we stop putting the money into the general fund and funding the police that don't respond in a timely fashion to our calls for service. But hey.
Fair enough, Jenny Beth. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Elias and Kai, somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.